What's up, guys? Today let's talk about the exchange of brain and cellular frequencies that happens not only within us but also with our environment. We've also talked plenty about perception in the past, but we've kept it at a eagle-eye view because there's much more to perception than anything else, because it is the way at least I've defined it, a way in which the electromagnetic field is carried around us that could make or break the way in which we interact with the surrounding, but also the way we understand everything. So as we've talked in the past, it plays a huge role. But it's nothing that it's set in stone. It's something that could be changed and can be changed, and part of it is changed on a daily basis depending on what exchange of information. The exchange of information that I wanted to talk about today, it's not only at a level that we look at each other and we have communication with each other, but it is at a frequency level. It is at an energy level. When I was in the lab and was doing all these brain frequency studies, there were certain things that I was also looking for, obviously for the dissertation, but at the same time, I was able to detect certain patterns. And a lot of them had to do with this type of a exchange of knowledge, exchange of information that happened, that were detectable as pattern within brain frequencies, but they were different between the subjects that I was studying because they all obviously had different perceptions and different EMFs. In this case, when it comes to our daily information seeking, information gathering, communication, all these exchange of frequencies as energies that we've talked about, it is not as if we are connected with wires together. I mean, how else are we connected? We are all connected wirelessly. And so the communication that we are soaking in and also we are sharing with the world and with our surroundings is all at the frequency level, as we've already talked about. And in addition to that, you have this cloud and the mist of EMF, of perception around. And so that exchange needs to also penetrate through every person's perception, including yours, including mine. And so you can only imagine how complex everything gets and how amazingly, miraculously everything is sort of working. One of the main reasons is because also the body is designed to seek equilibrium, but that's a whole another video that we don't need to go into today. But what I do want to mention today is the level of communication that is going on, not only within the body itself, but with the world outside at a frequency level, and for it needing to also penetrate towards their perception. And so as a result, a lot of times if we are not familiar and if we are not really feel confident with our own frequencies, we may end up either losing is not the right word, but I think you know what I mean. It's like you're wasting. That's a better word maybe, of these frequencies that you are eliciting on a daily basis. Part of it is yours. Now, when I say health issues, it doesn't need to be something big. It could be something very minute. Nonetheless, the imbalance of these frequencies in the long run, if we keep doing it over and over and over again, not that we do it on purpose, it's just maybe we just don't know how to work with our energies and our frequencies. In the long run, it could have some minute psychological effect, emotional effect, relationship effect, etc. You name it. And so it's very important to know how it works and how to work with it. And it's very individualistic. It's at an individual level. There are certain things that we can say it's happening collectively, but there are certain things that it's individual and specific to you. That's why it's important that you learn about you. There are certain tips and tricks that we could do to start with when it comes to taking small steps into learning how to work with our frequencies, and not only how to work with them, but also actually get to know them. One of them is a subtle physical reactions that we feel within our bodies. And if we keep sensitive enough towards those energies and towards those subtle change in state that we are experiencing on a daily basis, after a while we start seeing a pattern, and then we'll be able to connect it with something that we did, something that we thought, or something that we, and then as a result, once we see the pattern, we're able to determine what is it that, for example, is a little bit off with my frequencies and at that moment in time, and then immediately we'll be able to adjust it. And if we do this enough of a times on a daily basis, gradually we'll be able to really manage it, and as a result we will feel much more energetic, much healthier. But in addition to that, we'll be able to make sounder decisions for our lives and improve our own lives, but not only our own, everybody else around us as well. Let's say that you are active in a community, which a lot of people are these days. That would also help expand the energy towards that community without us even. So some of the tricks are, there are certain parts in our bodies that react to certain frequencies that we are emanating at that point in time, be it at a frequency at a brain neuron level, brain cell level, or the normal cell level, organ level. There is a whole map to it, and I can share that with you, but that map is collective for everybody else. But eventually you will be able to find your own map that is for your body. If you are, for example, in a specific frequency at a point in time, or specific emotional state at a point in time in a day, once you start seeing the pattern, you can also see that how it's impacting you physically, and that would be your cue that something is not right and I need to adjust. Let me share with you one example from my own life, and hopefully it'll become a little bit more tangible, and then you can see what works for you. For years, I kept noticing that in certain time, just randomly, I would get a little bit of pain in my left jaw. And I had no idea what that was. And I also noticed that to me, at that point in time, it was random. And one day I decided to see whether I can actually look for some pattern. Why is it that sometimes I get a little bit of a tension in my jaw here, and sometimes it would be so much so that it would actually really hurt? And why is it that sometimes it's very subtle? Long story short, after many, many moons, I was able to detect that there were certain environments that I was in, and certain thoughts that I had, and certain people that I was around with, that every single time when I was in that situation, my left jaw below here would tingle a little bit. And if I kept continuing with what I was doing, being with that environment, saying the same thing, thinking the same things, then the tension would increase. And so that is when I realized that that was my way, the way of my physical body to tell me that, hey, something is not right, you are wasting too much of your energy and frequencies, and this is not good for you, and you need to do something about it. And so I started taking small actions. For example, if I noticed that I had certain thoughts, I would stop those thoughts. Or if I said something, I would stop saying it. Now, I don't want to go into details exactly what it was, because then it's just, maybe it's a little bit too personal. But what I'm trying to say just with this example is that just that cue from my left jaw was telling me that you are not doing it right at this moment in time, but it was also giving me cue to actually do something about it. Now, I taught myself how to sort of work with that, and now I no longer have that intention. I also noticed that, for example, a shift in my energy, and also overall a better well-being, if you will, in my life, just because of that one little thing. And that was basically my cue. Now, I have discovered other cues in my physical body, but I just brought it up as well. So there are many other examples that I could, talk about. One of them, for example, is in my also left side, just one point in one shoulder. And I noticed that sometimes it just pops up and I haven't really done anything. And then I know that something is off with my energy. There's something I'm doing, something I'm thinking, something I'm saying, or something that I'm not doing that triggers those. So I've been able to map those in my life, and now I know. And that is just one way that your body, your cells, your neurons are telling you that, hey, something is off, let's work on this. And the whole power and control is in your hands, because once you get that cue, you will be able to make a decision whether you want to do something with it or not. And so then your life will have the whole other meaning, because once your life is in your control, you're able to sort of decide which way you want to go. And this is just one very tiny example that could make a huge difference long term in our lives, only if we paid attention to these cues that our physical bodies is telling us. But unfortunately, many times we're just too busy with ourselves, with the world. We're too busy to impressing other people. We really don't maybe want to pay attention to ourselves and be open to ourselves and be truthful to ourselves. And as a result, we kind of ignore that. And a lot of times, unfortunately, those signals vanish gradually, because if we don't pay attention to them, after a while, sort of, they don't see the reason for it. And so to keep these videos short, I won't go into a lot of details, but I'll do more videos about these frequencies, more specifically brain, which also then impacts the rest of the cellular frequencies. And that is where a lot of communication happens, if not all of it. And so I just want to keep these videos short, but I will talk a little bit more about it. But think about it and try it, and leave me a comment and tell me whether you have already detected some of these cues, and if you've done anything about it, or if you're thinking about doing it after listening to this video. And also, if there are any other topics that you'd like to talk about in terms of frequencies and energies, let me know. And know that this whole channel is about empowering consciousness at the end. So all these knowledge drop is hopefully will get us there. Take care.